Morning, guys. Welcome to CryptosRUs. I am George. It's another glorious day. We wake up and we see Bitcoin make another all-time high. As I'm streaming this right now, it is at $23,596, and it looks like it wants to continue. It looks like it wants to head to 24,000 in the near future, and then it's on its way to $400,000. Yes, that's right. So I want to talk about Bitcoin's path from 24,000 to $400,000. And that's not coming from my mouth. That's coming from one of the biggest investment companies out there, Guggenheim. And you know what? He makes a good point, the CIO. So let's talk about that today. Also, I'm concerned because Peter Schiff seems to be gone. There's no sighting of Peter, and I'm a little concerned. So I do also want to bring that up today. So let's get started. Thanks for tuning in, guys. As always, make sure you hit the like. If you are new to the channel, I stream every day, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, and I also have a ton of videos now coming up. There's so much to talk about, so make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell. All right. Let's get started. You know what? Bitcoin, like I said, 23,600. And if you're looking at Bitcoin right now, man, this is smooth sailing. Smooth sailing, slow and steady uprise. And this is what I was saying for the longest time. After 20,000, you just don't know what's going to happen, right? After 20,000, it's unknown territory. And Bitcoin could be shooting up way up there in a really fast manner. And that is what's going on right now. There doesn't seem to be any stop with this momentum. And it's just driving higher and higher and higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. And what's making it better, what's driving it higher is now we're starting to see a little bit of retail FOMO, but institutional FOMO is just building up. So some of you guys tuned in and joined me late last night. I did have a stream last night, and that was a good one. So sometimes I have streams at night. But this was the big story I talked about yesterday. This is out of the blue, okay? Like I said, one of the biggest investment companies out there, Guggenheim Partners and Guggenheim Investments, Scott Miner, who is the CIO, the Chief Investment Officer, so he's arguably the most important investor there, right? He did a Bloomberg interview, and he was asked about, when they go put their funds, because they already declared to go put some of their funds, divert some of that money from their funds into Bitcoin, and they're asking about it. He hasn't done it yet. He's still trying to get approval from the SEC, but he said he's been planning this since Bitcoin was at 10,000. And then all of a sudden, he's like, fundamentally, we believe Bitcoin should be worth $400,000. And the host is like, what? They're like, what? Do you mean 40,000? No, $400,000. So if you didn't watch that video, you should check out my yesterday's stream. It was pretty long, but I have some good info there. So make sure you check that out. That was a good one. And also this morning, embarrassing to have Bloomberg brought on someone no one has ever heard of before, pretending to be very intelligent, pretending to be that he knows what he's talking about. I think he embarrassed himself. So if you haven't watched that video, also make sure you do so at the end. But this is the new thing now. You have very prominent hedge funds, investment companies, prominent billionaires that are not afraid to make these kind of calls. Remember in 2017, 2018, remember the days of Brian Kelly, Tom Lee, right, on TV, making these bold predictions, and they were made fun of, right? Because of crypto winter, they're afraid. They're honestly afraid to make the same kind of calls because they were burned and their reputation was burned. But look at the guys that are making it now. Citibank declared Bitcoin at 300,000 just a few weeks ago. Citibank itself, and now Guggenheim is now saying 400,000, right? So these guys are they're not even in the business, right? if the Winklevoss twins, if Brian Armstrong, if they're saying it, yeah, you kind of figure, you know what, they're vested. They run a crypto exchange, so they have to say it, right? These guys, they're not even in it, and they're saying it. So it's pretty amazing what's going on right now. But yeah, I mean, this is the new narrative. Everyone is so bullish and so. I mean, they're just they can't get enough Bitcoin at this point. Let's just put it that way. Everyone is trying to FOMO in as much as possible. So this is a new narrative. Now, I said this yesterday, right? People are like, "Oh no, you're wrong," but no, this is right. So I don't know if William is watching my stream, but the whales that try to keep Bitcoin under 19.5, I said they got liquidated. They're done. They were trying to suppress the price like they've always done. They had a good amount of Bitcoins. They used leverage to their favor, and they controlled the market for the most part until they couldn't. They kept trying to push Bitcoin below 19.5, and now with big money that is so much bigger than they are, and they're pretty much done. And that's what this story is about. How Bitcoin whales, the ones that was controlling the market, they're plankton compared to the true whales of Wall Street coming in. And that's what we're seeing. And as I'm talking, I'm looking at the price ticker, and now Bitcoin is at 23,715. So we could be at 24,000 by the end of this stream, which would be fantastic. Fantastic. But yeah, that's what's happening right now. I mean, the Bitcoin whales that used to control the market, they're pretty much done. They're pretty much done. They lost power, right? So the days of volatility could be over, and you know what? It's a bright path from here on out, right? All right, what else is going on? Bitcoin chatter on Twitter near highest level in 3 years. Even though it's very high up, it's still not as high as 2017, 2018. So it kind of shows you retail investor FOMO is definitely starting up now, but it's nowhere near the peak. But it will get there. So in 2021, right around the corner, more institutions will FOMO in, and retail investors will follow, and it's gonna be fantastic. It's really fantastic. Bitcoin mining. So there's a company called Core Scientific. They are upping their ASIC miners for Bitcoin to over 77,000 units. That's a lot, okay? And this is going to be the biggest mining farm out there outside of China. So those of you guys that are afraid that China controls too much Bitcoin because of all the mining and so forth, right? There's Bitcoin miners elsewhere. There is. So it's not like one day, I don't know, they decide to go close off the Bitcoin miners or something and the Bitcoin network would die. No, there's plenty of mining farms out there. This is why it's impossible to kill Bitcoin. It is spread out across the world, and every single machine out there is helping secure the network, help power the network, which is why it's the most secure network ever built, and it has never been hacked before. So very nice, very nice. What else is there? Well, there's a Bitcoin fund that debuts on Canada's biggest stock exchange. So the stock exchange itself is not doing anything with Bitcoin, but there is another Bitcoin fund. And I do believe that in 2021, Bitcoin ETFs will finally be passed by Jay Clayton and SEC. They simply have no choice. Jay Clayton's argument before was, well, we want to see more transparency, we want to see less manipulation and all this stuff, right? It's hard to argue that when you have the biggest companies in the United States, the biggest companies of Wall Street, now all putting hundreds of millions of dollars into Bitcoin. It's really hard for Jay Clayton to say no. So I know for sure in 2021, maybe not the beginning, but latter half of 2021, you're going to have Bitcoin ETFs, which means you're going to have even more money flow into them. So yeah, that's also coming. All right. So I was watching Fast Money yesterday, right when, right after the market closed and so forth. I knew they were going to bring on Brian Kelly, and I knew they wanted to talk about Bitcoin. I didn't watch the whole clip, but I just watched the very first part of it. But the funny thing is, I'm not going to play it for you guys, but I put it on Twitter. Here's the thing. So they congratulated Brian Kelly, and they said, he stuck through it and stuff, and, congratulations to him or whatever. And then they bring on someone over the phone, and they're like, okay, so if you're wondering about the technical analysis of Bitcoin, so let's bring in this person to talk about it. And the only thing that was said was, okay, you look at this chart, it's a breakout. It's a breakout from here, and you see a you could see the arrow pointing upwards, right? I'm like, what kind of technical analysis is that? That it's a breakout. It broke through its all-time high, and now it's a breakout. Like, what kind of analysis is that? I mean, it was just really funny to me. Just really funny. I think anyone knows that it broke out. So yeah. All right. Lastly, I want to talk about Peter Schiff, who seems to have disappeared off the face of the earth. So I'm a little concerned. I'm looking through his tweets, and I do not see him tweet anything about Bitcoin. So I'm a little concerned something has happened to him. So in case you guys see him, you see where he is, give him a shout and ask him about Bitcoin, because I'm sure he has a lot to say about it. All right, I guess the last few things I'll end with is, number one, how many Bitcoins are there? I've explained this several times this week. I'm going to explain it again. The amount, I was looking for Grayscale's recent numbers. They didn't publish it yet. But the number of Bitcoins being mined per day by all the farms in the world only equate to 900 a day, okay? Every institution is buying way more than 900 per day. Just PayPal themselves, they're buying more than 900 per day to satisfy their retail investors. But Grayscale and everyone else is buying thousands and tens of thousands. I actually calculated this during my stream last night. So Grayscale added $600 million worth of Bitcoin last day, the day before. And that equates to 30,000 Bitcoins. 30,000 Bitcoins. It takes the miners over 33 days to mine 30,000 Bitcoins. So all this left to be mined is gone. You'll never see any of that. That is going straight into their pockets. So the only thing we can buy right now is what's out there, right? So the strongest hands wins right now. That's the name of the game. And looking at overall market cap, pretty outstanding, right? Pretty outstanding. Overall market cap is now at $670 billion, an increase of 11%. And take a look at this. This is staggering. Over the last 7 days, not 30 days, Bitcoin is up a whopping 30%. Just within the last 24 hours, a whopping 14%, right? This is phenomenal. A lot of altcoins are starting to catch up, but not really. They're up, but they're not above Bitcoin levels, right? So we haven't seen that yet. But whatever Bitcoin slows down, it's bound to happen sometime, right? Maybe not in the near future, but when it slows down, a lot of that money will be flowing back into altcoins, and it's going to push everything up. And the good thing is, right now the market cap is 670 billion. This is still about 200 billion less than peak in 2017. So that's a lot of money. 200 billion, right? So that's a lot. If you put 200 billion in all the altcoins, they're going to fly sky high, right? So those of you guys that's holding on, a lot of altcoins, you got to wait. The opportunity will come, but the name of the game right now is Bitcoin, and it has been for the longest time, and I've been saying that for the longest time. You just got to wait. You got to wait a little bit. I do say that there is one. I'm going to turn it over to you guys for some Q&A, but there is one altcoin that I am looking at, and I plan on adding a bit more. And I'm going to share with that. I'm going to share that with my Patreon members. So if you guys are interested in getting some exclusive content and chatting with me and others, make sure you check out my Patreon page. All right, so I'll turn it to you guys. And looking at Bitcoin, still 23,600 plus. Not too shabby. Just slow and steady rises. A little bit up, a little bit down, but it's always two steps forward, one step back, two steps forward, one step back, That's what we want to see right now. It's just a slow stair climb, but when you add it all together, it's a lot. It's a lot. And I don't think this is going to stop until we see 24,000, which is right around here. And then 25,000, 26,000. Remember yesterday I said every single percent now equals bigger and bigger dollar amounts, right? Because of how high Bitcoin is. So a 10% move is now $2,200, $2,300, right? A 5% move will be $1,100, right? Before, when Bitcoin was like 10,000, 15,000, not that much. But now it's starting to really ramp up. Jeffrey, thank you for that big super chat. Appreciate it. I'm getting a lot of good comments in my videos now, so I appreciate it. A lot of you guys, I know, were scared away. You took a break. You're coming back, and some of you guys have stuck with me all these years, so I appreciate it. This is the time when we're, reaping the rewards of patience, right? It's really a patience game. The longer you hold, the more you benefit. That's simply it, right? And those of you guys that's been holding, even at peak from 2017 till now, not too long, that's 3 years. Even if you bought at peak, you would be up 35%, right? No, 15%. Sorry, 15%. So worst case scenario, you bought at 19.8 in 2017. You'll still be up 15% now, 3 years later. But I know a lot of you guys been dollar cost averaging, buying the dips, right? You're up way, way, way more than that. So congratulations. So, all right, turn to you guys for Q&A. I did invite Mr. Bean to my live session last night. It was pretty good. But I think I made some good points. Recently these streams have been pretty natural for me, right? These are things I've been saying for a while, but people didn't want to hear it. Now people want to hear it. So it's the same lessons, same stories, but it's a different narrative now, right? With different players, and it's very nice. Rich Buddy, thank you for that. We follow lowest level of stock to flow model. Where does it take us conservatively? The lowest level in the next point is 100,000 because the stock to flow on his goes by 10x every time. Like 100 to 1,000, 10,000 to 100,000. So the next level conservatively would be $100,000. So that's still at least 4 times, more than 4 times than our current level. So last time I showed it, I don't have it up. Last time I showed it, it was right on track. Like right on track. So so that's conservatively, right? Conservatively 100,000, bullish is 400,000, and not said by me, by Guggenheim. And that's this year's cycle, right? That's this upcoming year's cycle. Now maybe it drags on a little bit, and who knows, right? I did say something in my live stream last night towards the end, and it's something to think about. And that is, every 4-year cycle Bitcoin had, there's a steep drop, like 85, 86%. This time around, there might not be that drop because this time around, the FOMO is not from retail investors. It's from institutions. These institutions plan on holding their Bitcoin a lot longer than 1 year. They're holding for 3 to 5 years. So this 4-year cycle could be very, very different than the previous 4-year cycles, because after 2021 going to 2022, there might not be that drop anymore. It could just stay at that level and continue forwards and reach $1 million like some people are predicting. So that could be right around the corner too. Claudio, I hope you're joking about that. I really do, but I appreciate the super chat. Yeah, the Bitcoin, the whales that I've always referred to say they play their whalish games, right? They're plankton compared to the big money coming in from Wall Street. They really are. I mean, there's just not even close. And I feel like all of them that was trying to hold and suppress Bitcoin below 19.5, they're done. They transfer their wealth. They put on these big sell walls, right? And they were all bought. They were all bought. So now they have to recover and try to buy back in, and they're going to have a hard time recouping all that because they transfer their wealth basically to the new Bitcoin whales, which is Wall Street, right? So I'm glad to see that happen, but hopefully you guys didn't fall for that trap. Mecca asks, why are the altcoins not remotely close to 2018 despite Bitcoin going 50%? Because there's a lot of distrust in them. There was a lot of FOMO. And you know what? 2017, 2018 was driven by FOMO, right? And retail investors, they like to, become a millionaire overnight, right? So they were looking at, Bitcoin is already so high. What can I get into? And they started seeing things pump. And because of ICOs and all that stuff, it was a different story in 2017. Right now is a lot of those people that hold, they still hold, but they're still scared of what may happen, right? And institutions are driving Bitcoin up. So the name of the game, the biggest profit right now to be made is with Bitcoin. That is the reason why altcoins hasn't caught up. But eventually they will. They'll make their own all-time high too. Some of them have, and a lot more will. As Bitcoin goes higher and higher and higher, the money will flow in. So just a matter of time. Just a matter of time. Diesel Hound, congratulations. Congratulations. Then you could afford to be part of my Patreon. And also, on a serious note, if you are brand new to Bitcoin and you want to learn more about it, I have a very easy class that's on Teachable, so check it out. It's a few lectures. It'll get you up to speed on Bitcoin really fast because I know a lot more people coming into these streams. They're asking very basic questions. They're coming in for the first time. And if you want a crash course on Bitcoin, then check out my lecture on Teachable. All right, guys, I'm going to let you guys go. You know what? I think 24,000 is right around the corner, and we're well on our way to 400,000. There's so much coming, and I'm sure this afternoon, tomorrow, this weekend, we're going to hear other big pieces of news. And of course, when we do, I'm going to be making a video on it. So make sure you guys subscribe, hit that notification bell, and also follow me on Twitter and Facebook. You can see my handles below. All right, guys, that's it. Thanks for tuning in. Take care. Bye-bye.